Have you ever finished a heavy set of bench presses and instead of feeling that great chest pump, you just feel a weird nagging ache in your lower back? Well, you are definitely not alone. It's one of the most common issues people run into at the gym. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why that's happening and most importantly, how you can fix it for good. It doesn't really make sense at first, does it? I mean, you're lying flat on a bench, you're working your chest, shoulders, triceps. So why on earth is your lower back the thing that's screaming at you? Well, the answer really boils down to this fundamental mismatch between the exercises we choose and the bodies we actually live in. So let's get right to it. What is the root cause of this problem? It all starts with a simple but absolutely critical fact about human anatomy. You know, we always see these pictures in anatomy books, right? Everything is perfectly symmetrical, perfectly aligned. It's a nice, clean concept. But here's the deal. Your actual body isn't like that. Our bodies are naturally asymmetrical. Through years of living, habits, and just moving around, we each develop our own unique strategy for getting through the day. We're not concepts, we're real. And reality is always a little off balance. This right here really gets to the heart of it. Your body isn't wrong or broken just because it's asymmetrical. Not at all. It's just the particular strategy your nervous system figured out works for you. And these little asymmetries are totally normal. That is, until we try to force them into a situation they're just not built for. And that's where the trouble starts. Think about it. A barbell bench press is a perfectly symmetrical exercise. It demands that both sides of your body do the exact same thing at the exact same time. So when you take your unique, slightly lopsided skeleton and cram it into this rigid, symmetrical mold, especially under a heavy load, well, those hidden imbalances can pop up in some really painful ways. So this asymmetry, this mismatch, it often creates a very specific problem that a ton of us have, and we might not even know it. It all comes down to the position of your pelvis. So meet our main culprit, the anterior pelvic tilt. Now, that's just a fancy term for a super common posture where your pelvis is kind of tipped forward. A great way to think about it is like a bowl of water. If you tip the bowl forward, the water spills out the front. This posture naturally scrunches up the muscles in your lower back, putting it in a constant state of compression. Okay, so just picture this. You walk into the gym, and you're already in this tilted state. Before you've even looked at a dumbbell, your lower back is already tight, your spine is already compressed. That's your starting point. And then what do? We lie down on the bench and get into a position that naturally encourages an even bigger arch in our back to feel stable. So you're basically taking that pre-existing compression and then just piling more force right on top of it. It's no wonder your back hurts. Okay, so we figured out the what and the why. But the good news is the solution isn't never bench press again, not even close. It's about changing your setup so you can start working with your body instead of against it. So our whole goal here is to just reverse that anterior tilt. We want to gently coax the pelvis to tilt backward, what we call a posterior tilt. Going back to our analogy, we're tipping that bowl of water back so it spills out the back. That simple little shift creates space in your lower spine and lets those super tight back muscles finally chill out. And believe it or not, the fix is incredibly simple. It's called the hook lying position, and all it means is putting your feet up on something, a couple of plates, a small box, whatever works. This tiny change in your leg position has a massive, positive impact on what your pelvis is doing. All right, so let's get practical. How do you actually set this up correctly? Because it's a little more than just tossing your feet up. There are a couple of key cues that make all the difference. So first up, get your feet flat on that platform. Your legs should be bent, kind of like you're about to do a glute bridge. Now here's the magic. The third step, the heel drag. Without actually moving your feet, I want you to gently pull your heels towards your butt. You should immediately feel your hamstrings turn on. That's the feeling that helps tilt your pelvis back. And finally, to lock it in, just think about peeling your tailbone maybe an inch off the bench. Now you have a relaxed, neutral spine. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but what about my leg drive? Am I losing power with my feet up? And this car analogy is just perfect. For a competitive powerlifter, sure, leg drive is like flooring it in a drag race. It's all about moving the absolute most weight possible. But for most of us, our goal is just to build strength safely. We need to make sure the car's engine is running smoothly before we redline it. This setup prioritizes good mechanics over raw force. And for long-term health and strength, that's a trade worth making every single time. Okay, so we've got our position dialed in. Now let's add the final layer of the cake, the thing that makes this position truly bulletproof. And it's all about your breath. This is where it all comes together. As you lower the bar to your chest, that's the eccentric part, take a big, full inhale. And I mean feel your entire rib cage expand, front, back, and sides. Then, as you start to drive that bar up, the concentric, you're going to push that air out with a forceful exhale. That exhale is what cinches down your obliques and compresses your rib cage, creating this incredible 360-degree natural weightlifting belt around your middle. It's so much more stable than just arching your back. All right, let's do a quick recap. First, just remember your body is supposed to be a little asymmetrical. That's normal. That lower back pain is likely coming from an anterior pelvic tilt that gets cranky under the load of a bench press. The easy fix is that feet up position. You lock it in with that heel drag and a slight tailbone tuck. And finally, you make it rock solid by syncing your breath. Big inhale on the way down, powerful exhale on the way up. And that brings us to one final thought. This whole idea, this principle of putting safe, high-quality movement before just moving max weight, it doesn't just apply to the bench press. It applies to pretty much everything you do in the gym. So I'll leave you with this question. What other exercises in your routine could get a whole lot stronger if you just focused on making them safer first?